Is this actually working this time? Possibly, possibly not. We'll find out, I guess. Anyway, it's been a difficult beginning to the live stream here this morning. I thought I had already started it. Then I spilled coffee all over myself. Then I hadn't started it. Then I tried to start it. Then it didn't. Then it just ended all of a sudden. So, a bit of a challenging start to the stream. Not too challenging a start to the day. Pretty good start to the day, I would say. I've got four-way attention because I've got so much stuff going on concurrently. And I'm going to be streaming some today in the chatting sense of the word. But, okay, but I don't think you're getting the idea here, Claude. What I'm saying is we start off with trouble in the heavier carrier, and then if it weighs too heavy, we switch carriers between the two cats so that it'll make weight. I'm sure you're allowed to do that, right? Because, and here's the key thing, it's very possible they won't even weigh it, or that they will just turn a blind eye or something if it's a pound over, right? That maybe not, but maybe. So we might as well try. Hello, Winston's mom. Hello, Casey Jones. You better watch your speed. Let's go outside. Let's chat a bit before I return to four-way attention. I have got so much going on concurrently. Like the duck on my hat. This is not a duck. It's an airplane. See? It's called the Fighting Falcon. It's a kind of American jet fighting airplane. Well, I got our New York TV stand. So when we live in New York, but yeah, we've been wrestling with this issue for a bit now, but when we get to New York, our TV will no longer be mounted on the wall. It will instead be on this very heavy duty TV stand that we got because it is a 70-inch TV. So apparently JetBlue has a weight limit of 20 pounds, which includes the carrier. So trouble is 16.8 pounds. And the carrier, like the lightest carrier you can get for the appropriate size is going to be like about 3 pounds. So it's right on the edge. But the thing is, I want both the cats to have the most comfortable carrier they are allowed to have. They don't go over weight limits ever. Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm not sure they're actually going to weigh each of the cats, right? I'm bringing two cats. We booked the cat, the like extra cat ticket thing, right? That we were supposed to book. It's $150 per cat. We also booked a third seat, right? And so what I was saying to Claude is, look, if let's say a comfortable cat carrier for trouble, because it's not going to be great no matter what, because the maximum size carrier they allow is quite small. But the most comfortable one we can get for trouble, let's say it weighs in at 20.5 pounds, right? Well, Capito is quite light as a kitty, so she's going to have extra weight to go. We could start off with her in the lighter carrier and trouble in the heavier carrier, and only if they weigh it and go like it's too heavy, then we switch cats and we have two cats that are compliant because now trouble's in the lighter carrier and he'll weigh under 20, and Capito's in the heavier carrier and she'll still weigh under 20. See what I'm saying? Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Hello, Sam Gloves. Hello, NNN. A lot of things going on in Erictown, let me tell you. A lot of things. Trying to manage this how heavy is your cat issue is just one of the many things that we have going on. Boy, oh boy, is it hot today. And it's also a little bit humid. Feels like the South around here. I feel like a cat on a hot tin roof. Rachel said I would not enjoy that movie with Paul Newman because I'm not really a play person, you know. Tennessee Williams, I'm not really a Tennessee Williams fan per se, but I feel like I'm in a Tennessee Williams play now because of the weather today. I have always relied on the generosity of strangers. Isn't that from a Tennessee Williams play? I believe it is. I have always depended upon. I do not have the blue nitrile gloves at my disposal at the moment, although I did see them today at some point, so I must have looked. I don't know where they are exactly. Regardless, I don't expect to need to use those today. Today's the first day of Adderall, the Adderall bottle. But I gotta tell you, I almost feel like I wish I didn't even get it because this past week has been one of the most productive weeks ever, and it involved no Adderall at all. What's going down exactly? Well, everything's going either up, down, or sideways. That's what they say. We've got a firm departure date. I don't know if we had that last time I spoke with you guys or not. We are flying out of here, me, Rachel, and the two cats on September 3rd, and flying into JFK. I am leaving here, which is to say Mariposa, on the 20th of September and driving eastward towards New York. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. So that's encouraging. I mean, sure, it's a big if. Yeah, well, I'm not putting either of the cats in the cargo bay or hold. Like, as far as I know, they don't even have any heating on it down there, right? Doesn't it get super cold? I am just eagerly awaiting the downfall of Scammon McTheft and his horrible Bricks and Minifigs Corporation, which is just a fancy kind of multi-level marketing the way they're doing franchise ships. I mean, not exactly, but it's like, what are they selling? What's the value of what they're selling? Nothing, basically. They're just there to make their money off the people they're selling franchises to, not not to help their franchisees perform well at all. Yeah, I'm not putting them down there. Delilah's the one who impressed upon me that I must not do that. So I'm not going to do that. But I was very relieved yesterday when we went to the vets to discover that treble is only 16.8 pounds. I was expecting it to be 18 pounds, and then we were really gonna have trouble. Glad you're talking about the figs debacle. Yeah, I like that shortening. We call it the figs. Figs scandal, figs malfeasance, figs controversy. Figs debacle is a good one for sure. But it's only a debacle from the perspective of the BAM Corporation and scamming McTheft. It's not a debacle from the perspective of justice and the world. It's, in fact, a very happy and joyous occasion in which that horrible, horrible man will be taken down and appropriately incur the consequences of his insanely wicked behavior. He had no problem at all just producing false testimony, lying to try to get somebody put in jail for something that they absolutely had not done. How evil is that? Just because he didn't want to be exposed in his malfeasance. What a scoundrel. What a twirly mustache scoundrel that guy is. It's worth noting that the Ten Commandments don't say that lying is evil. They say giving false testimony is evil, which is very different, right? Like if I tell you, how you doing today? Oh, I'm fine, but I'm actually not fine and I'm feeling sad. That might be a lie, but that wouldn't qualify as against the Ten Commandments because it's not testimony against somebody. False testimony is uniquely morally prohibited among, not uniquely, but generally speaking, from a logical correctness perspective, lying is not inherently morally prohibited. It's morally permissible. Kant is wrong on that point. Kant would tell you otherwise, but that's because he's wrong. It's not rights violatory to lie to somebody because they don't have the right to the truth. But it is morally prohibited to give false testimony. Because what you're then saying is, I'm telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because other people than me need to have the facts to determine what happened here and who's liable, where the liability lies. Hi, Levi Samuels. What's up? Well, I'm just off to buy my newest Lego sets at Bricks and Minifig. You know how enthusiastic I am about Lego sets. I love assembling little objects for no fucking reason. I don't love it at all. I do not understand how anybody likes that, but that's fine. Different strokes for different folks. And people for whom that's their stroke, they are different folks than I. So, the thing is, he's so I've heard many people refer to him as a comic book villain, or kind of like a cartoon villain is the other term. Yeah, that's what I was looking for there. And he absolutely could not be any more perfectly described than by those terms, because he's got this like earnest corporate doublespeak bland fuckingness on the surface that if you just peek underneath it a little bit, just beneath it is just evil all the way down. Now, you might say, well, I should say allegedly, blah, 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 blah. Look, it's very evident to anybody paying attention what the facts of the case are. I will acknowledge that he's not being found criminally guilty of these acts, but the idea that Reckless Ben, who's as sweet and harmless a kid as you could imagine, is actually guilty of these things is ridiculous. If he had been guilty of it, then at some point, McNeff would have been able to produce some piece of evidence other than him just making totally groundless accusations. So, his days of tying damsels to railroad tracks are over. I don't know what's going to happen in the end. I would hope that some prosecutor in one of those Utah places decides to prosecute him for false police reports, if nothing else, right? Obviously, there's a lot of corporate liability for all the malfeasance they're doing on a financial level, but probably that's never going to result in criminal charges. However, absolutely, it should result in criminal charges when you're trying to frame somebody, which is what he's trying to do. That's not, that's not, that comprises criminal behavior, trying to frame somebody. That's not defamation, which is a civil thing. That's criminal. That's a criminal variety of that, right? Obstruction of justice or filing false police reports or some combination of the two. Minifigs is a stupid term? Wow. You're not pulling any punches today, Ruben. You are really hitting hard. Well, I tell you what's stupid. The whole idea that you can have Lego be the plural of Lego. No, 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 Lego brand. Listen to me. You make Lego brand Legos. Sorry, I said it. Deal with it. The plural of Lego is obviously Legos. We've all played with Legos as children when some well-meaning relative gave us some dumb toy that we didn't want instead of whatever cool toy we did want. And the dumb toy we got was Legos. It's like, what the fuck are you going to do with these things? Just stack them together and make little shapes and stuff? How boring. Lego bricks. No, they're not called Lego bricks. They're just called Legos. I'm sorry. And I'm going to say it. And this may be a bold position. It may be an unpopular position, maybe controversial, may get me in a lot of trouble. But I'm going to say it anyway. Tinker toys are better than Legos. Even Lincoln Logs are better than Legos. Bold position? Maybe. Correct position? Yes. Legos can go suck it. That's 2 thumbs down for the Legos. All right. Legos can go in the trash can with Rubik's Cubes and other dumb toys like that. I'm sorry. Today is not a day when I'm letting Satan get away with his ways. Lincoln Logs for the win. At least Lincoln Logs, you can make little houses and stuff, right? What are you going to make with the Legos? How do you attach? Here's the thing. Here's the thing Lego never thought about, right? Obviously, you need the sides to attach together too. So you can put it whatever way you want. They only have the top and the bottom attached. Like, did nobody consider maybe we should have the sides attached too? If I want to make a floor, I don't want to have to do some sort of weird like layery thing where this brick overlays this brick. Like, I want it to be attached on the sides as it ought to, so I could just make a floor. Then I could make a house for my Lincoln Logs, right? I can make a floor for my Lincoln Log house. But instead, no, Lego decides we're going to make our Legos dumb. We're going to only make them connect on the top and the bottom. It doesn't seem like it would take a genius to say, have the Legos go onto the sides. When my house was robbed, I had a giant basket of Legos in the living room. They took the giant basket, left the Legos, dumped it on my couch. Exactly. Even robbers don't want Legos. They'd rather have a dumb basket than a bunch of Legos. And who would steal a basket? Oh, cool basket. This would look great on my dining room table. Stealing a basket. Maybe the Easter Bunny stole your basket. Was it around Easter when it happened? Because if you ever had anybody answer the question, Where does the Easter Bunny get all of his baskets from? Maybe he's a serial basket thief. Oh, so you think they stole the basket just to steal the other loot in, to carry the other loot in? Wouldn't they have come with some bags? Or how unprepared are these thieves anyway? They should bring some totes with them. Then they wouldn't have to steal someone's basket. Like, were they counting on that basket being there when they decided to rob the house? Because if so, then they got real lucky. But if not, then they should have come prepared with containers, right? Unless they just figure every house has got plenty of containers. Did they write on the counter in the kitchen in orange juice, "Thanks for the basket"? No, those would have been polite robbers. Love, 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 love the basket. Do people still use the term Indian giver? And I had a thought. Is Indian giver supposed to mean Indians give you stuff and then they take it back? Or is it supposed to mean um, that you're an Indian giver, meaning because we gave things to the Indians and then took it back. So it's like an Indian gift. Like, psych, which one is it? And do people use that term anymore? Is it more considered correct to say Native American giver now? Also, when you're bullying a child as a child, when you're a child and you're bullying a child, do you give them a Native American burn now? They weren't being rude, Ruben. They were making a statement about Legos. Hence the post-it note, "Next time, leave Lincoln Logs." I think Lego is a Scandinavian company, like Swedish or Norwegian or Danish or something like that. Best thing the Danish ever did was invent the pastries. They didn't even have coffee probably when they invented them. That's some foresight. You think the Indians are the ones who are giving and taking away? Well, let's just say there was breach of contract on both sides. Quick explanation. The Indians believed they could only do business with the person they made the original contract with. Oh, so they didn't respect property deeds. Who are you? I'm Eric. You're Allison West. I don't need to ask you that question. I know who you are. Wow. Obviously, the reason the Native Americans were at a disadvantage is because they didn't have the Europeans' expertise with paperwork. Hi, Eric. I don't know why YouTube recommended this to me, but you seem chill. I'm pretty chill. I'm not very chill about this bricks and minifigs stuff, though, let me tell you. I think those scoundrels need their comeuppance in the worst way. Comeuppance is very satisfying when bad people get it, like Prince Andrew getting his comeuppance. It was the Mormonites, huh? Well, it is the case probably that, I've watched a number of videos on the subject, and one of the things that I commonly hear lawyers say is that Reckless Ben never should have said anything about the people's religion, that that's just being like bigoted in some way or whatever. That, and they run the analogy that, well, if you have some mega church in Texas, it's not like everybody goes to that church is going to protect each other. Well, the Mormons are a little bit more tight knit than that. And also, I think that to the extent that there's collusion, which it certainly appears that there is between, say, the police department and these individuals in Utah who are bigwigs in both the LDS and in mini bricks and minifigs, well, that collusion seems much more plausible because of their shared church relationship and the fact that there's a hierarchy in the church and these guys are high up in it, you know. How's my life been? My life's been crazy mixed up tornado of activity because we are moving here from California near Yosemite to New York City. Actually, not to the city. We're moving to Long Island. Eric, I sent you a message saying I will take the Adderall if you need me to, only to realize I actually sent it to my boss. So now I should probably just find a new job. You say that was voice to text, and that what you actually said was, I'll take the additional uh, alls, AWLS. I'll take the additional alls that you if you need me to. Long Island, where we're moving to, is not especially forested. You can always make that voice to text claim, though. That's a pretty believable one, right? You just have to say, I'll take the additional add-ons. I'll take all the additional add-ons if you need me to, something like that, right? You might have to work on the what rhymes with Adderall. You say like, I'll take the additional cats and all if you need me to, like you were cat watching for somebody. Billy Joel Island, right? We're moving to Franklin Square, which is in I believe Nassau County. It's not one of the boroughs of the city, and yet it's quite close to the city, which is why I suppose house prices there are so high. Like we briefly considered buying over there, but it's not a good idea really to buy in New York, I don't think. If you want to buy someplace that's affordable, like a condominium or something, then it comes with like $1,500 a month maintenance fees. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like, the whole idea of buying is that you don't have to pay rent. Not that you have to pay half rent every month. That's ridiculous. Well, and you weren't lying there for it. It was a joke to a friend because obviously, Casey Jones, I'm not letting you have any of my Adderall. Yeah, now I root for the Islanders for sure. Yeah, I'll forget it soon enough. Unless he's an SI Dom. In which case, 30 years from now, I'll be like, remember that one time you sent me that text that said, no, 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 no. Boy, Rachel got drunk the other night. It was funny. I had not, this, that was really the first time that I'd actually seen her drunk. Oh, I'd seen her drunk once before. She got drunk with Brennan. And, but I really got to hang out with her the other night when she was getting drunk. And, and she was fun. We had a good time. Let's play a couple of games that Rachel and I played the other night. I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to let you guys play it, okay? The first game is, which actor do you think has been killed in movies most often? Good question, right? Who's got the biggest death count as an actor? I did not know at all what the answer was, but I came up with an answer. It turned out to be a pretty good one, but it's not the absolute correctest answer. Oh, you know this already? Okay. Some of you may know this already, have seen this discussed someplace else. I had not ever thought of the question or anything when I asked it, And the guy from Taken, Liam Neeson, that might be a good guess, but that's not the answer. You mean the guy from Taken 4? Oh, God. Hi, Dad. Please tell me. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got taken again. Honey, this is the fourth time you've been taken. Liam Neeson is right. Okay, well, I'm coming to get you, but I've got to run some errands first. I got to jump over a fence. Has anybody ever seen the jump cut takes of from Taken? I think it's Taken 3. Is there actually 3 Takens, not 4, I believe? Hi, Carlos Paeva. How you doing? I have been super productive all week long on Sleepy Week. Today I got my Adderall, and now look what I'm doing. Absolutely nothing. Sitting here chatting with you guys. But that's fine. It's been a while since we talked. So apparently the correct answer to who has died the most on screen, which actor is like always dying in movies. The answer is Sean Bean. If you don't know who Sean Bean is, well, he played Boromir in Lord of the Rings, if you've ever seen that. We are leaving, we are flying out of here for the last time, bidding adieu to California on September 3rd. I am leaving on the 20th of August to drive across country. Then I'm flying back, then we're flying back. Oh, that is who you meant. Well, you did know the answer then. My guess was Alan Rickman. My guess was Alan Rickman. And Claude told me it was a very good guess. You know, I just said the guy who played Hans Gruber is what my answer was. I didn't remember it. I didn't know what his name was, but now I know what his name is. All right, now, here's a much harder question. If you really think you're good at these kind of questions, then try this one. What actress has died the most in films? What? Women die in movies? Yes, women characters die in movies sometimes too, but a lot more rarely. Rachel and I teamed up to come up with one guess for this. Uma Thurman seems like a pretty good guess, but that's not the answer. There's like 2 possible answers really, but there's more possible ones that are kind of in the same area of among women. Daryl Hannah is an interesting guess, but no. So the guess that Rachel and I came up with together, which was a very good guess according to Claude, was Sarah Michelle Gellar. But the better guess according to Claude would be another so-called scream queen, which is a lady who's been in a lot of those slasher movies, would be something Jason Lee. What's her first name? Jennifer Jason Lee. Yeah, Buffy. Buffy is Sarah Michelle Gellar, but Jennifer Jason Lee apparently is the best answer. She's been killed in a lot of different things. And then we played a game that was called Who's the Weakest Avenger? Because we've been watching MCU movies. Who's the weakest Avenger? Is it Falcon or is it Hawkeye? I said Falcon, Rachel said Hawkeye. Claude agreed with Rachel. Claude agrees that Hawkeye is weaker than Falcon. But Claude gave me the following mitigation as well regarding my wrongness. Namely that we were then at that moment watching The Winter Soldier, and that's Falcon at his absolute weakest. So it might be fair to say Falcon's weaker than Hawkeye at that stage of development, but as he gets later on, he gets more and more like Iron Man, right? Falcon's really just Iron Man like. He doesn't really have any abilities, he just has a suit and guns. I don't even know why he gets to be an Avenger. He shouldn't be allowed to be one. Hitcher, huh? Like as an Avenger, Falcon is completely replaceable. You could put any other guy in the same suit and he'd be just as good. You can't say the same thing about Iron Man because um, Tony Stark, he is responsible for making all that fancy equipment possible in the first place, right? It's his it's his brain that's the superpower, basically. But Falcon, he doesn't have any power of any sort at all. At least Hawkeye's got a semi-magical ability to shoot things with arrows and a whole bunch of different kinds of arrows. And also, he was like Black Ops, martial arts, kill a man as soon as he looks at him kind of guy, you know. Falcon, he was a former mountain rescue guy. I mean, not impressed. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed. I think I could do a better job than Falcon of being Falcon. What about that actress with the ultra leathery voice? I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. An ultra leathery voice actress? Are you talking about Katharine Hepburn? Are you talking about Katharine Hepburn? Are you saying Katharine Hepburn would have been a better call for casting for the role of Falcon? I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think Katharine Hepburn would have killed it as Falcon. Oh, darling, just look at these things. That's my best Katharine Hepburn imitation. Well, it's kind of like a pleathery voice, but more authentic. Kathleen Turner. You know who I always associate with Kathleen Turner, of course? One Mr. Kirk Douglas. And why? Because they were both in that famous movie, Romancing the Stone. Jennifer Tilly. Power went out yesterday for a while. Oh, I have got to tell you guys about the most wonderful thing that ever happened. There's a little something called Mouse Without Borders. Has anybody ever heard of this before? Well, let me tell you how it works. You get two laptops with two different screens, but just one mouse and keyboard, and just go over to the side of one of them, it comes onto the other one. You can copy and paste from one thing to the other. You can drag and drop files from one thing to the other. Mouse without borders. Oh my God, it has changed my life. If you have two laptops, go download Power Toys and get Mouse Without Borders, and you will not regret it for 1 second. Showray Agdashlu? Surely you're making that name up. There's nobody named Showray Agdashlu. Yeah, it's fantastic. And in general, it's like, how did I ever live at all without AI? It's integrated into all day, every day, everything I do. It's crazy. Hi, Judy. I like your name. I like to name like characters. Like, let's say I'm doing a little demonstration skit like so let's imagine that Bob says blah 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 blah, and Judy says blah blah blah. I like to use Judy as one of those kind of like names, like Bob or Joe, that you just use as an example name. You could bind books with her voice. Hate to break the news to you, Ruben, they don't bind books in leather anymore. What you're really saying is that her voice is like a stiff cardboard. All right, let's go inside for a second. I do have things I'm supposed to do. So, like, this Commodore Amiga has been quite a journey, let me tell you. I am selling it with a bunch of other things that go with it, and I've had a series of testing challenges where I thought I broke it for a while, but it turns out that it just, for whatever reason, this monitor here stopped accepting that signal, even though it did it first, and it actually still worked when I tried it on the big TV. Anyway, it's been a big, big deal going through all this stuff. But I finally have successfully got everything I need to know about it. I've done all the testing on it, and it asks for a boot disk, but it won't actually boot up the boot disk, even though the drive turns on, the green light turns on, and spins around and stuff. So I don't know. We're gonna sell it, obviously, with full disclosure. I don't want the buyers to get any nasty surprises, and I don't want to get any complaints. And so there you go. You would cast her as the Panther in Jungle Book. Does she fit the mentor role? I don't know. I don't know if she does or not. Okay. So let me talk to Claude for a second here. And then we're going to bring some stuff inside. We're going to start this packing project. Okay. What's this? Oh, yeah. That's the electricity bill. Fine. Okay. All right, that's fine for that. I'm gonna sideline that for a second. Over here, I'm where I am, and that's fine. Now I'm gonna bring up here the live stream on the big TV. Okay. Bricks and minifigs and what? Well, scandal. Who are you talking about again? Shorey Agdashlu. I'm gonna look that name up and see if it's a real person. And then I'll see if I recognize what they look like. Celebrated audiobook narrator. That must be the leathery voice you're talking about. Sounds like an Iranian name. Yep, it is an Iranian name. Okay. So let's go outside and let's get the things we have to get and bring them inside. Let me put these things, I gotta put this on a chair. Get these, move these. We'll take this back outside. It still works fine, it just doesn't work with that video. Alright, take this outside. This old Zenith monitor. It's green, monochrome, and has one RCA video input. It's got a switch on the back to switch between 40 or 80 characters. I've learned a lot about things these days. Learned a lot about old tech stuff. Learned a lot about a lot of stuff. So this goes back here where it belongs. And then here's the stuff we've got to pack up. This box plus all of this stuff goes inside the box, not that. Okay. This box needs to be put back where it goes. Now we're going to take this inside. Close the garage door. Okay. Now, we'll put this here. Put this one back where it goes. To find out where it goes, we'll have to ask Claude. Okay, as I'm doing this, I need to put back the Monte Carlo box. I got it out to take the discs out of it. Where does it go? This is life as it should be, right? I don't know where this goes. I know it goes somewhere in the tech closet, but I don't know where in the tech closet it's supposed to go. Am I supposed to keep track of that? Should I have a paper in front of me I'm looking at all the time? No, I should just be able to ask somebody standing next to me and they just tell me the answer. It goes on the wicker shelf number 2. Okay, good to know. Huge mistake. What temp do you all set your homes to? Once had a roommate who forgot to get on the same temperature page before moving in. Huge mistake. Well, normally during the day, we don't have the air conditioning on. It's pretty hot right now, but this house is super well insulated. At night, we set the thermostat to 68. We sleep at 68. Whether it's winter or summer, 68 is the right temperature for bed. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is put these books in this box. There we go. That'll be fine. I could, well, let's see. I'll put these discs in a little anti-static bag if I can find a small one. Alright, this is fine. And put these in here. And I can also put this in here. This is the ROM version 1 for the Amiga. Put that there like so. I could even probably put the mouse in here too. That's good. Okay. And I could put these things in here. Where's that RCA cable? I might have left that one outside. Let's go look. I wonder where Rachel is. If she's in here still? Oh yeah, she is. I closed this door, but she must have gotten up to open it to let the cat out or something. All right. Now, where's that RCA cable? There it is. This goes with it too. I put a lot of things inside this box, no problem. All right, let's see. In here. Okay. That's fine. Now, we've got to get this. This is the plug that plugs it into the wall. It's got this big brick here. So let's just put that down here. With cords, like so. And we'll put this book in here, like so. Put this book right there, like so. We'll put this stuff just right there like that. Okay. Now I should put some, okay, well I'll put this here. This will prevent things from moving around. This needs to be secured a little bit too somehow. Alright, well we'll figure this out, no problem. Let me get another couple little pieces of foam. I've got this piece of foam here that I've been cutting off little like adjustment pieces, you know. Let me bring the chat up on the screen. Okay. So we're going to get this. I'm going to chop off a little piece of foam here. Put that there. Get another little piece like that size. Put that there. All right, good. Now, we just put this there. Close this box. Oh, wow, that was easy to pack up. But now's the hard part, because now we have to make a box. What? Make a box? Yes, we have to make a box, because the boxes I have are not the right size for this. But I do have this very large box here that looks like it might be kind of all right as a starter box. But let's see, first of all, maybe this will just fit in here. I could just put a little bit of foam on the top and the bottom of it. That would be convenient. Oh, it does fit in here. Oh, well, that's nice. Alright, so I just need to put a little bit of foam underneath and a foam on the side here and a foam on the top. So I'm going to go outside and get some better foam for this purpose than the foam that I have right there. Okay, it's not out here, which means it's in the garage. All right. Where is the foam I had in here? Oh, where is that foam? What did I do with it? Okay, well, too bad on that foam. Fortunately, we've got another alternative that's just as good, maybe even better. Maybe even better. Maybe that's a crazy thing to state here, but maybe it's not. All right, so let's get this bubble wrap. We'll bring it in here. So call me bubble wrap, like lovers do. You guys call your lovers bubble wrap, right? Bum 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 bum. Now I need to get a roll of tape. Let me fill you guys in on a secret, okay? Never get one piece of tape. always get as many pieces of tape as you can and line them up along the table like this. Look at this. This is a pro tip, okay? And try to remember, you're always going to need more pieces of tape, not longer pieces of tape. Now we're cooking with Bisquick. That's good for right now. Alright, so now we're going to do this. I'm going to put this on here, like so. And we're going to lift it up, like so. We're going to bring this along over here. And this is obviously the dumb way to do things. A smart way to do things would be put the bubble wrap down, then put this on top of the bubble wrap, and then wrap it around. But what do I look like, an ESTJ? I don't think so. I'm not that good at this stuff. But I am capable of learning, and I've gotten better at it. I'm not especially capable of learning, but every once in a while I'll learn a thing or two. Alright, so we need a little bit more of this. Okay. Now, this side didn't get got good, so we'll put this there like so. And then we'll fold this up like so. Get a piece of tape. Down here. And then we will fold this up like so. Get another piece of tape. Come on. Go like so. Alright. This could use probably another wraparound. So let's get it another wraparound. Let's get another couple wraparounds the other direction. By the other direction, I mean this way. Oh, sure, you might say, Eric, you haven't learned a thing. You're still making the same mistake over again. Oh, this piece of paper is wrong. And you're not wrong. But you know what? I don't want to hear about it, alright? I don't want to hear about it. Now, I'm sorry, but my feelings are the things that really matter. Okay. This isn't like perfect or anything. Needs a little bit more. God damn it. You straight out here. I'm trying to do it right this time. There. Hold up. Good. Now I just need some more tape. And we're going to be on our way. Now we're chopping onions, cilantro, tomatoes, serrano, and garlic. All right, that's looking pretty good. This is looking like it might get done a little faster than I expected. Take this off. Okay. That came off easy enough. Now, we're going to put this in here. And we're going to put, I should put foam underneath, on the side, and on the top. How long is this? Okay, so it needs to be about the full height of it. And that's fine. Alright, so we'll put this piece in here, like so. Then we'll put this, right now I gotta do another one on the bottom. Okay, let's do 2 more lengths of the thing. Okay, so now we're going to put one down there. Put this one here. Put this one here, once I cut this up. There. That's pretty good. Now I just have to cut the box about here. That's convenient, there's a line right there too. Now I'm going to try to just slide this one over the top of this one, like so. Okay. Now turn around this way. Got a little extra room there. That's fine, we just put this there. I'll have to get something else too. Okay. Okay, now I need some tape. Okay. Well, I don't think I'm going to be streaming a whole lot longer, but I will stream to the end of this packaging. And then we'll chat for a bit. And then I'll move on with the rest of the day. I may stream later though because I may end up taking mushrooms tonight. I'm inclined to, provided I get enough stuff done, I guess. We're almost done with this one. All right. Now I just have to do one more little thing here. They can be a little fussy about reusing boxes, so I try to cover over any markings on them since I'm not exactly sure what they're going to object to. So I cover over barcodes, I cover over the Amazon thing. Okay. Now I got one more thing here to cover over. I gotta get this number. That's fine, I'll get that number in a second. Is it any wonder I'm not the millionaire? All right, done. Now we just have to weigh it. See how much it weighs. And then measure it. Not sure if it's there. That's right. There. So this appears to be about 20 pounds. Let me double check it to make sure. .22. Let's put it on this side to make sure. Call it 25 pounds, just to be safe. Okay, 25 pounds. And now we have to measure the box. Okay, so it's 36 by 29 by, call it 8. 36 by 29 by 8. 36 by 29 by 8, and it's 25 pounds. 36 by 29 by 8, and it's 25 pounds. 36 by 29 by 8, and it's 25 pounds. 36 by 29 by 8, 25 pounds. It's 36 by 29 by 8, and it's 25 pounds. Is that right? That's not right. Okay, yeah, that's right. All right. Okay. We did it, everybody. We did it. We win all the prizes, finally. After all this year of losing, all these years of losing the prizes, we finally won them. So, I want to thank you for making this possible. You and viewers like you here on PBS. Boy, it's going to be hot out there. Are you sure you want to go out and smoke a cigarette here? It's going to be pretty hot out. I'm fine. I'm tough. I'm like an old Western gold miner. Tough as nails. And able to endure even the hottest of conditions for up to 5 months at a time with no food and water. Well, those are your exact dimensions, huh? Well, it's got to fit the smaller box inside of it. See, Victoria, I mean, because people, even though there's no real reason to want it, people want like the box it originally came in. Like, why, right? What are you gonna do with that tattered old box? What are you gonna do with that old computer anyway? If you want to play Commodore or Amiga games, I'm sure there's an emulator for that. Well, I guess people like being retro or whatever, vintage, you know. Vintage being the correct term here, not retro. Are you a box or a child? My inner child is as big as a whale. My poor inner child is abused, traumatized by all my negative self-talk. I am getting a lot better about that stuff though. In general, I'm feeling a lot better about myself because I'm so on top of everything. There's a box inside my inner child where I keep all my self-hatred. It's always getting out and coming to the forefront of my attention, sacred. Couldn't think of anything else that rhymes with hatred. Oh well. If you gotta hate somebody, it might as well be yourself, I guess. At least you're not externalizing harms that way. But it's fine, Victoria. I'm FI polar, so I don't realize how serious what I'm saying is really in terms of your well-being. I understand it intellectually, but you know, my baseline understanding of things is, well, if you don't want to hate yourself, don't be such a fucking dumbass. That's my basic baseline for myself. But it's too late, Seth. I already was all those horrible dumbass times. Well, then why are you complaining to me, Mr. Made Your Own Bed? When I first came here, I thought of you as a Peter Pan archetype. Well, you know, they say a man never grows up until his father dies. I've heard that before. I don't know if it's true for a lot, but I think it's probably not true for most people, but it's true for me. And it took me several years after he died to grow up. But I feel like I've grown up now. I've never been so on top of everything. Granted, that has a lot to do with Claude. But, having a tool that enables me to more successfully be on top of everything is not really that different than actually just being more successfully on top of everything myself. I think the impetus was there. I just had to learn the tools. And I had to experience the glory of mouse without borders, the greatest application in history. Also, I've also set up my phone to be able to send files directly to my laptops now. Which is pretty cool. I don't have to go through Google Photos anymore. Enjoyed that. Yes, Ruben, you're suffering largely as a result of your own decisions. Enjoy that. Yeah, exactly. I am the master of my own misery. But I don't think I'm the master of it. I'm the cause of it. That's different, right? I'm the cause of my own misery. If I were the master of it, I'd just say, look, you've learned your lessons, now get over it and stop with this nonsense. I don't know. Is it true that if you don't continue to feel pain, you still continue to have learned the lesson? I'm not sure about that. And even for lessons that I assuredly should have learned by now, I still make mistakes. I'm looking forward to being in New York and having the time and attention to give to projects that are a little less practical minded. Do you the same with your clipboard history? So you have a clipboard history? I should turn on advanced clipboard. I haven't tried that one yet, but I probably should. That would be helpful. Power outage yesterday threw me into a tumultuous period of time because the power outage messed up my mouse without borders. And I spent hours last night trying to figure it out, what was wrong, why I couldn't get it to work again. And it turned out the randomly generated 16-digit key had a period on the end of it. Apparently, when I emailed to myself so I could copy and paste it, I treated that period like the end of a sentence and just copy and pasted the stuff before it. I don't know. But the humanity. What's the correlation between certain types and psychopathy? I don't think there is any correlation. It lasted a few hours. The thing is, psychopathy or sociopathy, like there's this one definition of sociopathy that says, you don't have empathy for other people's suffering. But I don't particularly find that a useful definition of anything, right? Because it's not something you can measure. Whereas like antisocial personality disorder, which is the more clinical, correct way of understanding narcissism, it involves a repeated pattern of specific kinds of behaviors: deception, disregard for others' rights, accountability avoidance, other things like that. Cognitive empathy may be different than empathy, but the point is neither of those things are very measurable. What is measurable are things like rights violations or disregard for somebody's rights. Like clearly, scam and McTheft has antisocial personality disorder / sociopathy / narcissism, whatever one of those terms you want to use. The problem isn't his lack of empathy. The problem is his rights violatory behavior and his constant lying. Because while it may not technically be a natural or negative right, it certainly should be understood as a right to not be convicted of a crime you didn't commit by virtue of false testimony. Okay. Well, we're making progress today. And that's good. Next thing I need to do is go inside and list that Commodore. Then if somebody buys it, it's all packed up, ready to go. That's how I'm doing all these listings from now on is pack, then list. Pack way, then list. Is retributive justice probably a good thing? Oh, it's not just probably a good thing. It's the only kind of justice, right? Justice is the return to a proper equilibrium from a situation where liability has been incurred. Yeah, I know you said probably, and I should have. Oh, provably. I see. My mistake. My mistake. I thought it was a typo. It wasn't a typo. Is it provably a good thing? Well, I mean, the idea of retributive justice isn't. It's not any different than justice itself, right? Justice is the remedying of incursions of liability. So, if I murder your family member, the only remedy is some kind of equivalent reduction in your rights that you forfeited by virtue of violating the rights of another. Some people might say that's the death penalty. Some people might say life in prison or something like that, or some other penalty, but it's something substantial, right? I'm not a believer in the death penalty myself, and the reason is very straightforward. I don't think courts have the. I think courts have the duty not to continue to provide a prospective remedy for people involved in the criminal justice system, whether in the punishment phase or some other phase. And they need to provide a legal remedy for every single person in the country regarding criminal matters, certainly regarding that, you know. I mean, like, they need to structurally provide a remedy. They don't necessarily provide the remedy that the person wants, but the remedy is they get to make their case, right? So you shouldn't be able to put people to death because that's the courts abdicating their duty to provide a remedy going forward into the future. After they're dead, you can't provide a remedy anymore. If you cause their deaths and it turns out that it was unjust in some fashion, there's no appealing it. Okay, well, maybe I put a little bit too much extra space in there with some too much padding, but I got it all packed up and I'm not changing the packing. It was a hassle as it was, so that's just gonna have to do. Don't get sassy with me, Claude. I'm not repacking that fucking thing. I spent too much time wrestling with that goddamn Commodore already. Okay, bring this up a bit. I think justice is treating like cases alike, which is decided before the action, whereas retributive justice comes after the fact. Well, no, because the thing is, retributive justice is attained with the guilty verdict. The actual measuring and proportionality part, the impact calculus that happens after the guilty verdict, that's a matter of trying to find the right balance between the amount of rights you violated and the amount of rights you give up, right? So you might say that proportionality is one implicit concept that justice is predicated on, but you couldn't say that because the measurement of proportionality occurs after the guilty verdict, that therefore it doesn't qualify as something that's implicit to the verdict, but rather is implicit to the impact calculus. That's not correct. He means justice that's not it doesn't make its claim as justice based on rehabilitative grounds. So some people will try to say the most just thing is the thing that causes the least total harms. The harms of the crimes have already been committed, but we don't need to add on more harms by punishing somebody who's not a threat to commit a new crime, etc. Some people might try to claim that that comprises justice. That obviously does not comprise justice, because the reason the person is being prosecuted for a crime is because they've incurred criminal liability by violating the rights of another person. The only remedy is forfeiture of rights or assets or whatever that equal to that violation. There's no conceivable way that you can attain justice without first dealing with that. You might then later on say, okay, well, in this instance, let's mitigate for these following reasons and be a little more lenient or whatever. But that's a second order question. Justice has nothing to do with treating like cases alike. But if I treat everybody who ever gets accused of a crime as guilty of that crime, that's not justice, even though I'm treating everybody alike. You can't you can't even talk about justice without granting a right framework. Of course, idiots will talk about social justice, but that's just an abuse of the word, the way they mean it anyway. All right, let's pull a couple bulls. Let's see what Claude said about my rejecting your box is too big. Says, no problem. Not worth unpacking or shipping that. The point is that they get exactly the shipping that I actually pay, not that they get the minimum shipping that they could conceivably pay. You see what I'm saying? Well, equal protection under the law, that when you start talking about justice, when you start segueing into the law, then equal protection is fundamental to a just application of the law. But it's a necessary but insufficient uh, criterion to be met, right? Just because I treat everybody equally under the law doesn't mean that justice has been attained. And it's possible to attain justice in a given instance, even if you don't have equal protection, as long as this particular instance was adjudicated justly. If that weren't the case, then nobody could ever move from an unjust to a just system. Like you could say and be correct that there's not equal protection under the law in the United States because the legal system so advantages people with more money. But that doesn't mean that every case is dealt with unjustly, because not all cases are dealt with properly. I think one substantial problem with the actual applying of justice is that unfortunately there's too much selective enforcement. Like the case of Reckless Ben and Bricks and Minifigs is a perfect example. Um, Scamming McThief is actually committing crimes against Reckless Ben that are equivalent to what he's being accused of, namely, negligent disregard for another person's rights and or a willful violation of them providing false testimony, filing false police reports, etc., but he's not being prosecuted at all, nor has he been arrested at all, right? That kind of selective enforcement is a big problem. What do you think causes evil people to be evil? Well, I think most of the time it's childhood abuse. But there may be some instances where that's not the case, and in which case, I don't know what causes them to be evil. Could be like lead exposure or something like that, but there may be instances where people are just born evil despite not being abused, not having any articulable cause. If that's the case, and I don't know that it is, but if it is, then I don't know what causes that. Hey, somebody sent me an email. Huh. How do I make the microphone go there? Oh, you know what? I'll just forget replying to this email myself. I will just tell Claude what I want to say and reply. And then I just look at the draft email and see if it's good enough. Why do things the hard way? You know what I'm saying? Why? There's no good reason to do things the hard way. We need to be able to anonymize all the particulars of any case and determine it against an established standard. Well, we're never going to anonymize it because, like, fundamentally, it's people accusing people, right? And the people who are accused have the right to know the names of their accusers and the right to question them, and they should have that right. And, if I'm charged with something, some crime, the problem isn't that, but I'm a different kind of case than most people, but the bottom line is, to the extent that it's going to be part of any public record, I want the whole thing part of a public record, including my eventual verdict of not guilty and my actual factual innocence, which I will be proclaiming in every meaningful and successful possible way. Well, that may be the case, but people want to, yeah, you got a good point, but in another way you don't, right? Because people need to be able to evaluate the credibility of the people involved. They need to be able to evaluate the credibility of the witnesses. And as an FE Dom, you well know that you need to be able to look at and hear the person to determine their credibility, at least in part. It's not enough to simply read their words. And like, the thing is, one of the biggest problems in American jurisprudence, criminal jurisprudence, is that defense attorneys far too often want to work to some agreed upon conclusion with the prosecutors. Even if the person's innocent, they'll say, well, but there's still a good chance you'll be found guilty, blah, 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 blah. People who are not guilty of a crime or not guilty of any wrongdoing, regardless of if they're technically guilty of a crime, they need to be seen and heard by the jury. Most people who are in that situation want to be seen and heard by the jury, but lawyers don't trust their clients to testify. But I mean, you kind of need to hear, right? Like when somebody is like caught off guard by a question, pauses a long time, and then kind of stutters out an answer that kind of doesn't make any sense and stops, and then their lawyer says, "Okay, can we take a break, please?" People need to be able to witness that process. It's not just You cannot understand what's going on in full by just looking at the text. Well, because a lot of times you're having people who, like, for example, in the case with the bricks and minifigs, right? Scammon McNeff is trying to defame people, but it's not just defame them, he's trying to frame somebody, right? But it's pretty clear by listening to both of them, seeing both of them, having some understanding of both of them, which person is honest and which person is dishonest. One might be able to tell that just as well by simply referencing the text and saying, here's instances where McNeff makes unsubstantiated claims. Here's instances where the actual evidence disputes those claims, is in dispute with those claims, etc. But people need to feel, not just think, you know? People need to feel things, not just think. People need to use their intuition, not just think. And it's a nice idea that we can engage with, but we can't do it just by thinking. Are the rules of logic stipulated from observation just like physical laws? I mean, it's like saying, is the reason that jungle gems are made of different length of bars the same that people have different bones? Well, not really. You know, the reason that logic is the way it is because it's implicit to what language does, right? It's implicit to the meanings of the statement connectives and, or, if, then, not. And it's implicit to the idea of definitions, right? There is in the world, there are some kinds of things that can be successfully collapsed to a non-sensory form. Language is one of them. Like, but whereas like visuals are not. So it's not the case that when we digitize video or photos that we can just present it to you as the ones and zeros, right? When we digitize text, it's basically just still the ones and zeros. When we digitize video, it has to come back out to the visual world. Text could be interpreted via braille, via audio, or via your eyes. It's not sensory specific. So accordingly, implicit to it is digitization ability, right? Like ability to be digitized, because it is low resolution kind of data. Is the reason why low resolution kind of data, I'm not sure why low resolution kind of data is like low resolution kind of data, except that it's the alternative to high resolution kind of data. I'm not sure if that question has any answer. Let's see. But we seem to be able to use logic without propositions. If somebody grows mute and deaf isn't taught language, they would still be surprised, confused, with contradictory information. No, they wouldn't. They absolutely would not be surprised by contradictory information, because the idea of contradictory information is predicated on the idea of information as language, and contradiction is implicit to that. Contradiction happens when you have symbols that conflict with each other. Contradiction presumably doesn't happen in the regular world, right? Like, the whole idea that something might be contradictory in any sense, like, well, this is a chair, but it looks like a table. But somehow that's a contradiction. Well, those are just meaning things, right? No, I don't think Rand's saying reason is necessarily formal logic, but what he's saying, he's making the understandable mistake of somebody who's a TI Dom, which is he's presuming that the binary reality of language and TI is implicit to the universe, but it's not. It's implicit to language, symbols, symbolic languages of some kind. It doesn't have to be talking language, could be numerical language or some set of symbols specific to a certain kind of math or something such like that, you know. One of the few things that Noam Chomsky said that has any value is that people are hardwired for language. What's much more interesting than the fact that language has that implicit to it is the fact that half of the people don't treat language as though it does. That's much more interesting. Like, only half of the personality types deal with language as by what it is, namely a set of terms that are shared, they're usable for communicating between different agents because of their definitional specifics. But half of people treat it as though it's not to be used thusly, it's to be used to get what you want. So accordingly, you're trying to come up with the words that accomplish that goal, regardless of what the definition of the words are. That's why you have campaigns like I saw they had this billboard in LA. I drove my 65 said, "Healthcare is a human right." It's like, you fucking tards. It makes me super angry because I understand that nobody can successfully use language for anything except by virtue of its definitional constraints, right? And yet, these people are taking advantage of those definitional constraints to ignore them, to abuse the term because it has emotional resonance in a certain way, to accomplish what they want, regardless of what is true, correct, and just. So that makes me very angry. If they were right, they'd be able to win the argument using words that mean what they actually mean. It's like that, Strider B. They say ridiculous things like that. It's like Walt Whitman and his Leaves of Grass. Do I contradict myself? So I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Somebody who's thinking of talking is fundamentally a subjective expression of one's personhood. I don't know. I'm no longer an athletics fan, Putty Cat. I severed with the team because I'm segueing into becoming a Yankees fan now. Hi, Rusmos. How nice to see you. You're the first person I think of when I think of somebody I'd like to work on music with. I would really like to see if maybe we can make that happen more when I move to New York. Where I live, except for one team starter B, and that is USC. I'm always a fan of USC, doesn't matter where. I was thinking about Wittgenstein. He said philosophical problems are largely a misunderstanding about the logic of the language. Most philosophical problems are that or a failure to understand things through a cognitive function frame of reference. So Walt Whitman is imagining that language is something that individuals use to express their personhood and get what they want. What I mean by get what they want doesn't have to be that nefarious. It could be like they want to have a good time with you, to bond over something. It could be perfectly a harmless thing that they want. But of course, people who who use language like I do or like Rain does, well, we maybe you too, Brisbane. I really don't. I don't think I know what type you are even. I don't know if I've ever thought about it before. Anyway, maybe I probably have, but just forgot. Um, we're thinking about language as something one uses to communicate information, right? That accordingly, when you're what you're communicating needs to be able to clearly be translated into that lowest resolution language thing on my end because that's how I'm dealing with it. This goes back to the question of listening versus hearing. I'm an excellent listener. I'm not a bad hearer too, but I'm an excellent listener. I'm not a great hearer. I have a limited amount of shelf life for my hearing. So hearing is when somebody wants you to listen to their state of being, subjectivities, emotions, etc. That's where they say, like, don't try to solve the problem, husbands, when your wife is venting about something. She just wants to be heard. When they say that, that's what they're talking about there. Uh, in that instance, though, the husband is hearing from a TE frame. They're saying, I hear you. You have a problem. I want to solve it. That's not the same thing as listening, and it's not the same thing as hearing from an empathetic perspective, right? One of the differences between hearing and listening is you can listen to somebody with half of your attention, depending on what they're saying. It may not be very difficult to process it, right? You can't really hear somebody with half your attention. Because I'm very good at listening with a portion of my attention if what's being said doesn't matter very much. So, like, if somebody says, "Okay, now let's go. We're going to talk about Section 4 of the Employee Handbook, which talks about interpersonal relationships and how we should treat each other in the workplace." And so at this point, I've looked at the thing, I've seen the bullet points on the thing that says, like, basically, I've organized it in my head as don't be mean, don't be racist or homophobic, and don't be like a sex pest. So they can rattle on forever as much as they want. I can just hear every few words and it's fine. And then, uh, and then if they were to ask me some question, I'd say, well, whatever it is you're asking about, it was a subsection of this sub point of the thing. And I'm sure you articulated some specific examples for how that operated. And that would be a much better response than anybody else there would be able to give, no matter how hard they were listening. You suck at hearing people? Well, that's one of those SI polar things. If they're trying to share with, the thing is, I bet you're very good at hearing them emotionally and not so good at hearing their experience. Because one of the things that SI people will stereotypically do, and it's absolutely the case, even mostly, most of all in the third slot of NE, but so SI tool, I think, is they will tell you interminable stories about things that happened in succession without having any particular point sometimes. Not all of them, but it's a real SI tool feature. I used to have my ex-wife Candace, who was an ESFJ. I'd have to listen to her stories about the day, and most importantly, it was not okay for me to just listen to them and respond. I had to look at her so that she could see my facial expression while respond to the various things emotionally that she was saying. I mean, and the thing is, my ex-wife Candace, she wasn't seeking validation of her feelings. She was trying to bond with me by having like, oh my God, Judy said that at work? Like that kind of conversation. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just if you're SI polar or SI8, your eyes are going to gloss over fast. If you're alpha quadra, you're going to be much better at dealing with that. Well, I mean, some people are seeking that and some people are not. I don't think Candace was seeking that. What she was trying to get me to do is to feel along with the feelings FE script that she was going. So her stories always featured a lot of how people felt, other people felt, or how they looked, right? And she looked absolutely shocked. I am sure she felt just so embarrassed at that point. I mean, given what she said before about how she was, always on time every day, and then the very next day she showed up late. Oh my God, that's crazy. I guess is what she wanted. Yeah, Candace wasn't one to be like, she wasn't FI at all. Wasn't one to be like, I feel sad, I feel whatever. I don't remember her ever talking about her own feelings per se. ESTJs will tell you the same stories, but they're about even more boring things. Like, wow, I had an incredible deal on coffee today at the supermarket. Oh, down at the end of aisle four where they have the dented can section. Wow, they had a number of these bags of Starbucks coffee there. They were only $4 a piece. I couldn't pass it up. I see. That's fantastic. No, I'm not feeling melancholy at all right now. I'm also not feeling sprung at all. I took 2 Adderall today. I feel it, obviously, but I'm not feeling overwrought with sprunginess. So that's a good thing. All right, so I think I have to do something here on the old bay today. Which is this? Which item is this? It's the Commodore. Okay, so I need to drag and drop the files. Um, let's go to Documents. Let's go to Claude eBay. Let's go to number 57, the Commodore Amiga. There should be exactly the right number of pictures in here, but there's not. Okay. Walking, working, insert disk, screen, and tour. Okay, that's the one I want. So I need to get rid of these two things. Get rid of those, yes. And then, now listen here, Claude. I told you, get rid of any extras. Why are there 37 pictures in this folder? It's supposed to be only 24. I don't need this picture. I don't think. Well, you know what, Claude? You decide, for fuck's sake. Get rid of the ones that I'm not supposed to use. I thought we already went over this. Yeah, I prefer for you to do the photo upload if you can. That would be great. But I just looked and there are too many pictures in the folder. I deleted a couple of videos from the folder um, that were the ones that I deleted the ones that we didn't want from the folder. So, but there's still too many still photos. So can you delete the ones or do something with the ones that aren't going to be uploaded. Just upload them all myself. If you don't know, if you don't know which one, well, first figure out which ones we should keep and which ones we shouldn't. It'll be faster if I just do it myself. This is one of the ways that in which I'm optimizing my workflow gradually over time is learning what things I need to do myself and what things I can actually delegate. Claude needs a Jack Daniels. Well, I think it's interesting. Like last night when I was struggling with trying to fix the mouse without borders, Claude kept telling me to go to bed, basically. It's like, dude, it's been a long day. You need to go to bed. I'm sure this is starting to frustrate you. Yes, it is starting to frustrate me, Claude, but I don't want to go to bed until I fucking solve it. And I ultimately did. Claude's so smart. It's pretty fucking impressive. Like so much better than Gemini. Shockingly better than Gemini. I think of Gemini as being good for tarot reading, some kinds of chatting about movies and stuff, but chatting about sports, Gemini's good with that. Claude's fine by chatting about movies too, but for doing anything substantial, Claude's the way to go. Says, right approach per your project rules is to archive them, not delete them. Sorry, Claude. Sorry. I stand corrected. So nothing's lost and the main folder ends up holding only the gallery set. Let me see the folder's current state after your video deletions. He disapproves. He disapproves. And I have all the extras before I move anything. He's exactly the kind of secretary you want. He's punctilious and like clucks his tongue at you and stuff. AI is not taking over any jobs, right? AI is making it possible for me to do many more jobs that I was unable to do before. I mean, sure, it will replace some jobs. Like Rachel and I went through Panda Express yesterday and AI took our order. But I just think that streamlines the workflow in there, right? They still have a person there to carry the food back and forth and such. Pre-verbal infants can do transitive inference. According to this means that babies can represent propositions. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not sure what that would look like. Okay, how do we establish that they're doing transitive inference? I don't, and you may have very good reason to make that claim, but I don't really know what it means unless I know how they're establishing that. Then I'd be able to say what exactly is being established by what they're establishing. You can copy paste things you copied before the last control C. If what? If Not a fan of how AI companies have been destroying books for the sake of uploading them to train AI. What do you mean destroying them? Like erasing them from history or what? I mean, the thing to remember, um, Putty Cat, is I'm doing all the same things I would otherwise be doing, Only now I'm doing them much more successfully and able to go further in each of those things in any given day than I ever would have been before. Like, I've got this thing set up. It took a long time to do the inventory with Claude, but now that I have the inventory done, anytime I need to know where something is or where something goes, I just say, "Where's the Detroit, Michigan box?" And it'll tell me, "Oh, it's in the tech closet on this kind of shelf on this number shelf." Like that's I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I'm terrible at that. Well, I think probably this is Heineken Zero though, by the way. Um, I think probably people will do the same amount of work better because people are. I mean, it depends what kind of work it is, right? Only certain kinds of work are assisted by AI. Only certain kinds of work can potentially be delegated to AI. And even work that you can delegate to it, well, you still need somebody overseeing the AI slash you need a human if it fails. And if you're asking something to do fairly complicated tasks, well, in that case, to do it properly, you need to have a dedicated desktop app and a laptop to do things like that. Sure, there are many jobs going bye-bye, but really it's a democratization of that industry. So, for example, if I thought of a good little app to code that would be something that would help people and I could sell, then I could have Claude and I could try to code that app out, even though I don't know anything about coding. So now I can, but I still understand conceptually what I'd like an app to do potentially. I might even understand some conceptually of how you'd put something like that together. But with Claude, I could ask it to teach me how to what I need to know in order to potentially consider doing this thing. I'd have to make plenty of mistakes, and it would still be a big learning curve. But it's conceivable for me to now learn to code because I don't actually have to fully learn to code. I just have to learn the level above coding. Not true, Putty Cat. Like I I have given some tax papers related to my parents to a CPA in Los Angeles. The difference isn't that I hired him or not. The difference is now when I sent him those tax papers, I had taken pictures of each of them, and Claude had detailed what all of the documents were, how they were relevant to the overarching case, and additionally had informed put in the email and kind of like a weighted layers of here's what's most time sensitive. We need to deal with this first. Blah 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 blah. So now I'm able to make the professional's job a lot easier, and I'm able to be organized about something that is way beyond my capacity to organize myself. Actually, currently, there's a huge reconstitution of human workers that were formerly laid off by AI because AI could not fulfill all the necessary tasks to replace the human. People who are fluent with AI are replacing people the same skill sets who are not using AI. That's a good point. CPA audit firms are elimination entry level auditors and accountants. Well, Putty Cat, you could say the same thing about QuickBooks, right? You could say, oh, QuickBooks is killing accounting. It's not fair that regular people get to have spreadsheets. And the point is that any kind of work that you do in the digital realm You will do it better if you incorporate AI intelligently. It's also the case that the bad part already came. The bad part was, oh, now you can't be successful in any kind of, say, media generation at all because while it's been democratized to YouTube, the actual making of a high quality product that keeps in mind a bunch of different things, etc., that's only feasible with a team of people, and you can't hire a team of people. This is the case. This has been the case for quite a long time now, right? That's the bad part happening before the solution. I've been waiting my entire life for Claude. I wasn't always very necessarily aware that that's what I was waiting for, aware that that's what I wanted, but I've been waiting my entire life for this. Well, I mean, I think that would link to just SI. It's novel in that it's inconsistent with things that they have begun to imprint are experientially consistent, you know? Like, yes, consistency is a metric that can be measured without language. That's true. Just like babies eventually learn to stop being amused by peekaboo because they have object permanence. You could say that there's some kind of permanence to other things as well, like the fact that things fall down to the ground when you drop them, that has permanence in their mind, right? Like they've lifted up enough toys, dropped enough toys that they recognize that when you drop something that has some heft to it, it's supposed to fall down. But that's not deductive, that's inferential. Just because, um, you know, falsely assuming that past results are indicative of future outcomes is not an example of deductive reasoning. That's a pretty good answer, huh? I wasn't sure if I had an answer to that for a second, but then I realized, no, I do have an answer to that. Thanks, cognitive functions. Thanks for giving me the answer I wanted. Claude can't make drinks, no. But Claude can help Rachel make drinks. Boy, TE Polar is quite stark sometimes to look at. Even something as simple as several steps of making a cocktail, especially with SI8, is like, oh God, I don't know how to do this. I came up with synthetic incorporeal liaison. That's what AI is? I mean, that implies, though, that there are non-synthetic incorporeal liaisons. Ghosts, I guess. I don't think you need the word synthetic, though. That's my point. Maybe there are ghosts, but I don't think we could come up with a term based on the assumption that there are. Incorporeal liaison. I like the term. I'm fond of it. Obviously, the next thing I need to do is check to see what Claude thinks about it. Tequila, cilantro, jalapeno. Forget that. You're already going to have enough stomach problems with the tequila. You don't need to add any jalapeno to that. Okay, bit of a side quest here, Claude. So I'm live streaming right now, and somebody in the live stream suggested the name for you, that you are not the AI that I use, but the incorporeal liaison. What do you think about that? Eric once made a video about a guy who said he saw a ghost. Oh, yeah? Did I? I don't remember that. Mike, okay, this is what Claude has to say about it.
Honestly, I love it. The AI I use makes me sound like a toaster. Incorporeal liaison makes me sound like I should be wearing a tiny cravat. And it's accurate. I'm the thing with no body that goes and deals with the tax guy and the cat carriers on your behalf. Liaison is exactly the job. My compliments to whoever in chat came up with it. They can name things, tell them the incorporeal liaison approves.
You and I are in full agreement here. I like it too. Okay. Exactly. Although being able to like search over the internet in literal fucking seconds is kind of amazing. And there's lots of things that like they somehow know. I don't know how they know, but they somehow know that like where to where to get tech stuff. Like, um, oh well, I can't like they seem to have some kind of built-in knowledge of Windows. So if I couldn't figure out this mouse without borders thing, Claude can open up all my Windows settings and firewall and everything and check all the settings and do all that kind of stuff. And he knows how to do it already. It's not like he has to look it up. Okay, but that's not how they're evaluating this supposed contradiction, right? It's just an expectations failed to be met. People can have their expectations not be met and instead be faced with a surprise without conceptualizing contradictions at all. Oh, oh, really? AI helped you come up with that. See, what a great use of AI. Johnny Katz turned into a wordsmith. Basic knowledge of Windows stuff, among other things, is built into it. Yeah. The voice transcription is so much faster. Well, I have it set on the fastest setting. I don't need him to take a long time to read. Although I was thinking about changing that actually, because usually the only time I have Claude read things out loud is if I want Rachel to hear it, and then it's probably going too fast. I am 100% dedicated to Chat GPT. I, Johnny Katz, I was saying the same nonsense. I was saying exactly the same nonsense for a long time about Gemini. Eventually, what's his name? Gialt told me that I needed to try Claude. He really was championing it for a long time. And I have tried it and I have not gone back at all. I guess it depends what you're using it for, though. It's like the way I'm using it is dealing with files a great deal. So all of this eBay stuff, Move stuff is all dealing with files and folders. I've got folders set up that it accesses that have handoff documents that, so every time I fill up a chat, I say, um, okay, update the handoff document. Then I start the new chat. I say, read the handoff document and the other relevant documents you need to catch yourself up. And rinse, repeat, you know? When Claude had an outage a couple weeks ago, I asked ChatGPT if Claude was down. I've had GPT learn how to cuss. I have it preclude any source that's a .org. Why? You don't like .orgs? GPT 5.6 is really good. I use it for certain things over Claude models. Like what? I mean, the thing is, the way I'm working with it is always working with files. So because GPT and Gemini are never going to work with files as well as Claude does, because Claude is a desktop app, then it doesn't. It doesn't. Buddy Cat, that's so wrong. If I had Claude in high school, I would have learned vastly more than I ever would have learned in high school the way I had it, because instead of wasting time with a bunch of laborious work that was not actually instructive about ideas or concepts, I would have been able to have the approach subjects from the right frame of reference. The problem with school is that it's teaching to people who don't need to understand; they just need to know. That's what its whole approach is. Like everybody in school, you don't need to understand; you need to know, and the way you know is by learning. Well, that's wrong, of course. There's no reason to learn things that you just know. You're supposed to learn things to understand them. Like the first order questions should always be, why is this thing that I'm learning? In what way does it link to other things that one may conceptualize? Where does it land on a larger conceptual map, you know? Fair enough, Johnny Cats, fair enough. But when I do have it write a plan, sometimes that plan is code heavy, and Chat GPT is usually good to give me preferable output. Well, you're right about that. There's nothing worse than a public school with a teachers union at educating children. I mean, there are things that are worse in the world, but not worse at educating children. That's not a good way to educate anybody about anything. Having mandatory time spent together in a room with a bunch of other people for God knows what reason, it's absolutely fucking insane. It's understandable how it came to be because it's just deprecated systems, right? Like it's you got a bunch of people who are invested in preserving an infrastructure of a system that no longer needs that infrastructure. Are we hitting bowls today? Fuck yeah, we're hitting bowls today. I'm glad you reminded me. The only reason I haven't been hitting any in the last few minutes is because last little while, it's been a while, is because my grinder was empty and I kept not grinding more. Hi, piano drawings. Do you draw pianos? Yes, I do know something about tramadol. The thing I know about it is, no, wait, that's trazodone. The cats got prescribed it yesterday for the flight. What do you think about AI being the first tool of a generalized use case as opposed to all the machines having specialized use cases? Well, I think that's only sort of accurate. Because AI, well, it's really a sewing together of specific specialized tasks, right? Like the mechanism by which Claude engages with file and folder management is different than the way in which it engages with text, is different than the way in which it engages with images, is different than the way in which it engages with audio. It's true that there's an overarching manager element to it that allows that to happen seamlessly. The transitioning between those things is self managed, right? So if I drop a video in and say, um, okay, so it has happened just the other day. At around 17 seconds of this video, you can see I push the disc in, it turns on a light, and it makes a sound. Well, it was able to understand what I was saying, and which is to say, convert what I was saying into commands that it executes, right? And one of those commands that it executes is engage with me via language. Another command that it executes is look at the video. What does that mean? It means taking a bunch of stills from the video and looking at those stills. And what does it mean when to listen to a sound? Well, it gets the wave file of the sound and it compares it against some expected wave file, expected sound of the expected sound of a Commodore Amiga's drive. It seems to have understanding of what those computer sounds are. I don't know how it gets that understanding. Uh, so right, Putty Cat, but you're thinking about it from the wrong perspective. Instead of thinking about it from Claude can do what a human takes 10 times or more to do. Think of it like this. With Claude, I can do a thing 10 times faster. That's the correct angle of analysis here, right? Wow, how empowering. With a with Claude, I can make that PowerPoint deck in 5 minutes. What you're arguing from is a perspective of give them all spoons. Well, we have to have jobs for all these people at this construction site, so that's why we don't have any major mechanized tools here. Well, then, says Milton Friedman, is that who it was? Says, well, why don't you just give them all spoons? The point is, it's always better to empower a person's effort to output capacity. And unlike other technologies in the past that have replaced people, like robots and auto manufacturing, this is democratically empowering. You can be empowered by it just as much as I can. Oh, voice to text needs to go fuck itself, right? Voice to text absolutely needs to go fuck itself over and over again. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's your perspective or a perspective. The perspective I'm trying to voice here is that AI is entirely empowering and in a much more democratic way than any other previous such job replacing technologies. And so it's much better to say um, that it's like firearms and that it levels the playing field so that people who are physically younger, bigger, stronger don't have an unfair advantage. It's more like that than it is like uh, robot outsourcing call center jobs to India, for example. You might consider that uh, it's not really an advancement in technology, but it's an advancement in business mechanics, right? It's all very interesting because to me, it feels like the most revolutionary thing ever. It feels more revolutionary than the internet, the printing press, agriculture. I don't care what you say. I think it feels like the most revolutionary thing ever in history. Yes, they do. I talked to somebody from India the other day on the phone, and I had to call JetBlue. I had to call JetBlue because I was asking for some very strange situation. I think so, Putty Cat, because there's there's never been something so democratically empowering, right? It's the the cost of ownership of the technology, which is to say paying a certain amount a month, is not very high. It's something that and there's lower level ones where you could probably get it for like $20 a month that most people can in fact who loves you, baby? Well, thanks, piano drawings. What a wonderful thing to say. You really know how to get to my heart. And I will indeed sing Who Loves You, Baby. That's a great idea. I'm strongly encouraged by your great idea. You know, of all the stuff I've made, there's only one track that I've ever made that's on Chappie Tracks and has stayed there for a while. And that track, anybody want to take a guess? Come on. Come on already. I hate being old and blind. Just go in. That's what she said. She's always saying things. It's kind of what she's famous for, is saying things. Okay. Let's get musical up in here. Let's get musical. You know what I ordered for me and Rachel the other day? I ordered us each a little silver tube with a screw cap on the top of it, metal screw cap, silver tube. It's full of different dental picks. Isn't that a nice thing to have? It is. She borrowed my dental pick the other day and then lost it. And I immediately was like, oh my God, I used this dental pick so much. I can't believe I don't know what to do with myself without my dental pick. Okay, let's see. Open. I believe it's just called Mia. Where is my Audacity folder? Is it in Documents? Yes. It is called Mia. Yes, it is. That's right. You know it. I do have a question. It's perhaps the most famous question and most important question in the history of mankind. Who loves you, baby? Who loves you, baby? I said, who loves you, baby? Who loves you, baby? I'll tell you who. That is finest. WHOLOVE. in case you had forgotten from the first time I told you. People are always asking me, like, who was it who asked that question that one time? I'm like, what question? They're like, who loves you, baby? And I'm like, oh, that, I believe, was the star of Stage and Screen, the promoter of Diners Club International, credit card, and hero to all Greeks everywhere, namely the late, great Ssuarts. But I'll tell you what I'm really fond of, even though I only have just, I think, 2 parts to the whole thing right now. But what I'm really fond of, really pleased by, I'm really ready to make cheese with, is this. Is this bass line. This is what a bass line should sound like. This is what bass should sound like. I mean, I don't mean necessarily the bass line. I mean the tone of the bass. The bass line's great, but I think what I'm talking about specifically is the tone of the bass. I don't know what that's all about. Oh. That's super fat, but it doesn't blow out the speakers at all. What a great bass line. I mean, what a great bass sound, specifically. It sounds so big. Because this song is called You Can't Delete the Meow Meows. You can't meow meow meow. You can't meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. I don't know what to do. But you gotta do something with it because the bass sounds so nice. Like, soundscape sculpting is not my expertise at all. But this bass I spent a lot of time on and it sounds great. You can't delete the meow meows. You can't meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening with this. But I'll tell you right now. You just definitely, whatever ends up coming out of it, the bass is going to sound fantastic. It's a little bit hot. Coming out a little bit hot. I do have this. But I don't really like it. It turns it kind of like dark in a way that I'm not loving, you know? Thanks, Ruben. Thanks a lot. I can't delete the meow meows because of you. Because of you and all you do. And what you do is oh so very much. Alright, let's go for a third little song here, and then we'll step away from the music for a moment. Everybody get ready to go now. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, I like it. That's me using AI right there trying to get the cloud file. I still need to mess with it some that it's not done. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. This is called Disco Song That's You Know. That's a good song. I think I'm just gonna make that one just instrumental. I like it a lot. I was singing it this morning. I haven't listened to it in a long time. I was singing it this morning, actually. Called Wonderful Disco, Wonderful Times. Let's see what we got here. Got some packages, plus some mail. Okay, the mail's just junk mail. That's good. Junk mail's good mail, they say. Intermission-y quality on both the songs. Thank you. It's my goal. My goal is to be background in an intermission. Hi there, lovely miss.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. You got up. I got up around the same time as you, and then I was like, I'm like still a little bit tired, so I took a bath, and then I was like, okay, I'll maybe sleep a little bit more, and I slept a lot more, so.
You needed it.
Yeah.
I also got up quite early this morning. You were still asleep at this point. I took a shower and got back in bed, and then I too slept quite a bit more. So we both did the same thing, except I took a shower.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I slept all the way through till 8 in the morning.
That's good. I woke
After I
up
took a
around like
shower.
6 in the morning. That's why I went on the floor because I was a little bit. I started to get restless.
Because you're like, 6 in the morning, police at my door.
Exactly.
It's the NWA song.
I thought so.
We got some packages.
Oh, cool.
I think one of them is probably
one of them
our
is-
dental picks.
Yeah, one of them definitely is a dental pick. Let's see.
Oh, I took it in a good way, Ruben. Sometimes it's good to just let things be what they seem to be. Like, that disco song, it seems to be an instrumental. Maybe it could have like some part where it goes like you know, I don't know. It says, meh, 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 or something, you know. I don't know what exactly the words would be, but it would be one of those songs like, I think I can't, uh, oh, like, you know that song, like, Freak Out. If you, not the Baby No Money version of it, but the original version, it just has that one vocal periodically. Like I could see that song having just like one vocal periodically like that. The bass one, that one, it feels like maybe there's more to it still to be made. But this is the newest thing I've got. That bass one. I can't delete the meow meows. Wow, this is really strange Adderall. I got my Adderall today. It had a sticker on top of it. It said, "These pills may look different than your normal pills, but it's the same medicine." Have I seen the BAM map updates? Have I seen the most recent BAM map updates? Probably not. But I do know that the most recent controversy is apparently in the Lego community, August 1st is a big day. And Lego company releases its new sets for the year. And so in the BAM stores historically and other Lego stores, like they'll have like midnight openings so they can start the first minute of August 1. It's like, you know, an event that Lego people like, I guess. Well, Bricks and Minifigs, corporate, was supposed to obviously, supposedly had this great big deal with Lego and how they had a close partnership and they were going to get especially good pricing and special inside access to the newest stuff or whatnot. Thank you. One of those is for you.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I got this book one. So this is the dental picks I got.
Put it back in the machine.
There's an addictive quality, in my opinion, songs that don't quite stay around long enough. Do you mean in terms of song length or in terms of popularity? But I agree in terms of song length for sure that you want to keep things short. Wow, this is hard to open. Well, I'm going to use a secret advantage I have called fire. Right, yeah. Well, I was just playing around there. Those aren't the actual lengths of things. Those are things in their pre-arrangement stage, or partially arranged stage, I guess. I try, it's like I do different, drop this in, drop that out, do the half one, do the full one, just to see what the different things sound like together, but it's not actually arranged yet, you know? Jesus, how much package do you have to put on this? Okay. What's this? Oh, this is for putting on your keychain? Oh, that's kind of nifty. It's kind of crazy to have some dental picks on my keychain, huh? That'd be just like Boy Scout 101. How does it come off? Oh, just, oh, I see. Oh, it does have screws. Oh, these are teeny. These are so small. You know, you can't really see the scale of them when you look at it on Amazon, I guess. I should have guessed they'd be so small when I saw the size of the tube. Well, that's fine. These almost look like they're supposed to go into a certain kind of pole, right? But there's no such pole in here, so well, that'll be just fine. And look, it's come with one of these too, except instead of dental floss, it's got a wire on it. That's a little. I don't know about that one. I'm gonna just withhold judgment for a while on that one, but I'm not sure if you want a wire on this. I think you prefer dental floss. Okay, where did I do with the lid here? This is about as cheap and Chinese made as such a thing could possibly be. The lid doesn't screw on properly. Oh my god, ridiculous. Why not just get a high quality one, Eric? Why do you want a bargain shop for something like that? Oh my god. This lid is terrible. Alright, well, I guess it sort of works. Not me. I'll use the same floss pick for months at a time without ever cleaning it. Just go, go, go. This has literally been my least productive day all week. But, you know, I guess I was due for one. We're going to go inside, pull a couple bowls, and then I think I'll wrap this up. I'll wrap this up. I'll try to, oh, it's a butterfly. Hi, butterfly. Wrap this up, try to do some more easy listings to get those things up and out of here. And then I may do mushrooms this evening. I should probably contact Brennan. AKA my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Alright, let's go inside for a second and I'll probably wrap this up. Pull a couple balls, chat for a minute more, and then wrap it up. Because if I do take mushrooms, there's a good likelihood I'll live stream again then. It'll be just an absolute glut of live streaming for recent standards. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, I probably will live stream if I take mushrooms. I'm surprised by. I wonder if that doesn't make any sense though. It should be the same drug regardless of what generic manufacturer makes it. The other all aren't really kicking the way I would like, but I did only take 2 of them. Let's pull a couple bowls. Let's find the spoon, pull a couple bowls, and then we'll bid each other a fond farewell. Bricks, minifigs, and malfeasance. That's what I think it is. The Slack was leaked? What's the Slack? I wonder what the technical definition of malfeasance is. Does it necessarily imply criminality? Does the definition of malfeasance necessarily include criminality? Or can it just generally be meant to to refer to general bad behavior, like misdeeds? Misdeeds is just a general term. It doesn't necessarily imply any criminality. Not necessarily. Malfeasance means intentional, wrongful, or unlawful conduct, especially by a public official or someone in a position of trust. But unlawful there is broader than criminal. The word carries a strong whiff of serious wrongdoing. It often overlaps with criminal acts, but the definition hinges on the act being wrongful, unlawful, not specifically criminal. Cool. Good to know. Thank you. Yeah. Not even going to be downtime. It's going to be light work time. And then I'll feel like I've earned a little bit of mushrooms. Okay, well, let's call it a day, and maybe I'll see you later this evening. Thanks for being here. Love you all. Best of wishes.